Creating extraordinary success in business and life is absolutely possible. That means more income, more freedom, and more energy for what you value most without the hustle or burnout. I'm Laura Flood, certified success and high performance coach, CEO for over 30 years, and a multiple seven-figure entrepreneur. I've built a profitable, sustainable business while prioritizing my family, my health, and my happiness, and I'm here to help you do the same. This is the Redefining Success podcast, where I'll share the strategies, tools, and the mindset shifts to help you grow with intention, live a life you love, and create lasting happiness, wealth, and freedom without losing yourself in the process. Let's dive in. Success is always changing you. The question is whether it's changing you into the person that you want to become. I don't think most people spend much time thinking about that. We put so much energy into growing our business, reaching the next goal, and figuring out what's next that we rarely stop and ask ourselves how all of it is shaping us along the way. We talk a lot about what success gives you, the income, the recognition, the freedom, and all of the options that come along with success. We also talk about what it sometimes costs you. The late nights, the sacrifice, and sometimes those seasons of hustle. But we almost never talk about what it does to you, how it shapes you, and how it changes your habits and expectations. It changes your relationships and your identity, and sometimes so gradually that you don't even notice it's happening. Today, I want to ask you a question, and I want you to sit with it for a bit. Who is success shaping you into? And that's not who you're becoming in your business or what your next goal is. Who are you becoming as a person, as a partner? Who are you becoming as a parent and as a friend while you're building all of this? I don't know that we ask ourselves that question often enough because success changes us. And most of the time, it happens so quietly, we don't even catch it. This isn't about business growth. It's about personal growth, or the lack of it. Success changes your habits. A few years ago, maybe you shut down your laptop at 5 o'clock. But today, you might find yourself answering emails while sitting on the couch watching TV because that's just become your normal. You don't even think about it anymore. Success changes your expectations too. Things that used to feel like wins, getting that new client, the big sale, or hitting a big milestone, now it just feels like a random Tuesday. You've raised the bar so many times that you can't even remember what used to excite you. Success changes how you spend your time. Your calendar fills up with things that are important, but not always meaningful. Busy things, but not necessarily fulfilling. And because you're so capable and efficient, you just keep handling all of it. But you've probably stopped asking whether you should. Success changes your relationships. People start treating you differently when you hit a certain level of success. And from what I found, some relationships deepen and some quietly fade away. And sometimes you look around and realize the people that are closest to you are also the people that see you the least because you're always working. So here's the thing. Most of this happens so gradually that you don't notice. It's not one big moment. It's 1,000 small shifts that add up to a life that looks successful on the outside, but feels different than you expected on the inside. So let me ask you something. What has become normal that you never intended to? Because I promise you, there's something in your life right now that you've normalized that if you stepped back and looked at it honestly, you would realize that it was never part of the plan. It just happened, one decision at a time, one season at a time, or just this once at a time. Here's what I want you to understand. The danger isn't failure. The danger is unconscious success. So what do I mean by that? You've become so efficient and capable. You become dependable. You're the one that everyone counts on. You've built systems, habits, and routines that make you really, really good at what you do. And then you stop questioning whether the way you're living is still the way you want to live. You're not necessarily unhappy, but you've gotten so good at executing that you've stopped reflecting. You're on autopilot. And it may be a successful autopilot, but autopilot nonetheless. This isn't about saying that success is bad. Success is incredible. I'm grateful for every bit of it. But success deserves reflection just as much as struggle does. We tend to take the time to reflect when things go wrong. When we fail or we hit a wall, that's when we stop and ask what happened and what needs to change. But when things are going well, when the money's rolling in and the business is growing, and everyone thinks that you've got it all figured out, that's when we stop asking questions. And that's the trap. I found that success that isn't reflected on becomes a life that isn't chosen. You can end up living a life that you built, but you didn't intentionally design. And then one day you wake up and realize you've become someone and you're not sure that you chose that person. So let's talk about alignment. And I want to define this clearly because alignment has become one of those words that gets thrown out a lot. People talk about purpose and passion, manifesting, and if you're a high achiever, you hear those words and you kind of roll your eyes because it all sounds a little abstract. So let me give you a real definition. Alignment is when the life you're living reflects what matters most to you today. Not 3 years ago or 5 years ago, but today. And I want to share something personal here because I think it's the most honest way to illustrate what I mean. So, if you don't know my story, for over 30 years, I've built an incredible real estate business. And not just built it, I have been in the top 1% of realtors nationwide for so many of those years. I was successful by every external measure: income, recognition, results. I had the career that most people would look at and say, wow, she made it. But here's what was happening underneath. Somewhere along the way, the business I had built, the one that fit me perfectly for so many years, it really started to feel like it didn't fit anymore. And nothing was broken. I wasn't failing. I just changed. And the things that mattered to me most had shifted. The life that I was living was no longer reflecting those things. And I want to be really clear about something. This wasn't a crisis at all. It wasn't a dramatic moment where I threw everything away. It was just this slow realization where I had this quiet awareness that what I was giving my time and energy to, it wasn't matching what I cared about most anymore. I had spent decades helping people build lives through real estate, and I loved it. But what I kept noticing was that the part of the work that lit me up the most, the part where I was really alive, it wasn't the transaction. It was the conversation. It was the moment someone would sit across from me and say, I don't just want a bigger house. I want a different life. And I'd help them see what was actually possible for them. And that was the work that I couldn't stop doing. Even when I was supposed to be focused on the real estate transaction, I was coaching. I was helping people rethink what success meant for them. I was challenging their assumptions and holding space for them to figure out who they wanted to become. And eventually, I had to be really honest with myself. My real estate business was still very successful and profitable, but it wasn't aligned anymore, not with who I was becoming or what mattered most to me today. So I started to make a shift, and it didn't happen overnight. It's been very, very intentional, but I started stepping into coaching more and more. I do success and high performance coaching for high achieving entrepreneurs, professionals, and realtors. And I coach people who are right where I was, really successful on paper, but underneath questioning everything. And I want to tell you that shift wasn't about leaving something behind. It was about me moving toward what fits. And I still lead my real estate team. I love my team. It's a great group of agents, and real estate will always be part of me. But I set it up where I don't have to work in that business all of the time. I can really coach and do what I want to do every day. So the move that I made, it was extremely intentional, and it was about making sure that the success I was working so hard to build was actually helping me become someone I was proud to be. And that, to me, is what alignment looks like. Not a dramatic reinvention or burning it all down, just the willingness to look at your life and honestly ask, does this still fit? Does this still reflect what matters to me most today? Here's what I want you to take away from that story. Alignment requires adjustment. We expect our businesses to evolve. We update our strategies, we refresh our marketing and adjust our pricing. We pivot when the market shifts. And nobody expects their business to look the same today as it did 10 years ago. So why would we expect our lives to? Your priorities evolve, and the things that mattered to you at 30 aren't necessarily the things that mattered to you at 40 or 50 or even beyond. Your family changes and our kids grow up. We see relationships shift, and the seasons of life look so much different from one another. Your energy changes, and you'll start to see that what you could sustain at one stage of life isn't what you can or should sustain at another. Your definition of success changes. What felt like winning 5 years ago might feel like a cage today. So, why do we expect the systems that we built years ago to keep serving us forever? We build a life at one stage, and then we hold ourselves to it forever. We treat past decisions like they're permanent contracts. Like I chose this path, so I have to stay on it, or I built this business, so I have to keep running it. This is who I've been, so this is who I'll have to be. But that's not how growth works. Alignment isn't a one-time decision. It's an ongoing practice. It's really the willingness to look at your life, your real life, not the highlight reel, and adjust. Sometimes in big ways, but more often in small, intentional ways. Instead of giving you advice today, I want to coach you a little bit. I want to leave you with some questions, and I don't want you to answer them quickly. I would really love for you just to sit with them. So maybe write them down, or you can pause this episode and actually think about them. Okay, here they are. Who am I becoming? Do I like who I'm becoming? What feels aligned today? And what no longer feels aligned? What have I normalized that deserves another look? And what part of my life needs a small course correction, not a total overhaul, just more intention? Take those questions seriously, because the answers will tell you more about your future than any goal-setting exercise ever could. And if you're someone who needs to do something with this, not just think about it, but actually see it, here's what I want you to do today. Take out a piece of paper and draw a line down the middle. On one side, write aligned, and on the other side, write normalized. On the aligned side, list out all the things in your life right now that genuinely reflect what matters most to you. The things that feel like you, and those would be the things that you would choose again today. And then on the normalized side, I want you to list up the things that you've accepted as normal, but you've never actually chosen them. The things that just happened or fell on your plate and stayed there, or the things that you just stopped questioning. Don't overthink any of these, just write. And when you're done, take a look at the normalized column. That's where your course corrections live. The aligned column, that's already working. So let's take a look at the normalized column. Let's look at the things that you've been carrying that you forgot to question. You don't have to fix all of it, but you need to see it because you can't correct what you can't see. Let me bring this back to where we started. Success is changing you every day, every decision, and in every season. The question isn't whether you're changing, because you are. You can't help it. Success shapes you. But are you paying attention? Because businesses don't create fulfillment. Your life outside of work does. You can build the most successful business in your industry and still become someone that you don't recognize. You can hit every goal on your list and still feel like there's something missing. You may have stopped checking whether the success you were building was building the you actually want to be. So today, pick one thing from that normalized column, one thing that's become normal that you never intended, and make that one small course correction. Just one small step back towards the person that you aspire to be. Because one of the greatest gifts that you can give yourself is making sure the success that you're working so hard to build is helping you become the person that you're really proud to be. That's what this podcast is all about. And that's what redefining success means. If you're sitting with these questions today and realizing that you might need some support working through them, that's exactly what we do inside of Redefining Success Coaching. You don't have to figure it all out alone. I use my experience from over 30 years of building a family-first, profitable, successful business, working less than 40 hours a week, to help my clients get to their goals much faster and easier. The links to learn more about how we can work together are in the show notes. Thanks for spending time with me today. I'll see you next week.